There comes a time in every man's journey when the path ahead is fogged with doubt, and the road behind seems meaningless. You wake with questions heavy in your chest. What am I doing? Where am I going? Why does this feel so empty? It is in these moments, not of defeat, but of divine discontent, that life whispers a quiet invitation not to retreat, but to rise. You see, the feeling of being lost is not a curse. It is a call to awaken from the sleepwalking routine, to break free from the prison of passive existence. And that call, if answered with courage, leads to one of life's greatest revelations, that the very thing you thought was draining you, your work, can be the very thing that sets you free. For work, when seen through eyes of purpose, becomes more than a paycheck. It becomes a path, not a duty, but a discipline, not a chore, but a challenge that chisels you into something greater. You were never lost. You were simply disconnected from the meaning behind your effort, from the fire buried under fear, from the mission hidden within the mundane. Let today be the day you don't seek escape from work, but resurrection through it. There is a profound truth that few ever come to realize. Man does not find fulfillment in idleness, nor does clarity spring from chaos. Clarity, direction, and purpose are born when a man steps out of the fog of uncertainty and aligns himself with deliberate action. Too many wander through life waiting for the stars to align, for a voice from above to point the way, never understanding that the first step out of confusion is not revelation, it is responsibility. To drift is the most dangerous state of all. It is subtle, deceptive, and quietly destructive. You don't notice it until you look up one day and realize years have passed, and you are no closer to where you once dreamed to be. But drifting is not permanent. It is not a sentence. It is a signal that you have detached from the power that lies within your own hands, the power of work. Not work as the world defines it, labor for a wage, hours for survival, motion for the sake of movement. No, work in its highest form is spiritual. It is transformational. It is the act through which a man creates his future while shaping his soul. When you engage in meaningful work, not just toil, but focused, purposeful, intentional work, something inside you begins to change. The fog starts to lift, the doubts grow quiet, the sense of despair loses its grip, because now your hands are building, your mind is forging, your heart is aligned. Direction does not come from waiting. It comes from doing, and doing begins with deciding that you will not be a leaf blown by the winds of chance, but a ship guided by the hand of choice. Each morning you rise with the decision to act with purpose, to commit to excellence in whatever task is before you. Is a morning you begin steering your life out of drifting waters. The secret is not in the size of the task, but in the spirit you bring to it. Whether you are sweeping floors or building empires, writing words or raising children, mending wounds or constructing dreams, what matters is that you show up fully, that you do it with intention, that you understand this one truth: direction is forged in discipline, not discovered in desire. Those who drift are not lazy, they are misaligned. They have not yet connected the labor of their hands to the longing of their heart. But once you begin to see work not as a curse but as a calling, not as drudgery but as destiny, everything changes. You stop asking what the world can give you, and start asking what you were born to give it. It is in work that a man builds the muscles of his mind, the structure of his soul, the vision of his future. It is not glamorous at first. It is often unnoticed. But deep beneath the surface, the transformation begins. Each disciplined day builds momentum. Each challenge overcome sharpens clarity. Each time you push past resistance, you get one step closer to purpose. You become driven not by pressure, but by principle. You no longer wait for the right moment, you create it. You no longer seek motivation, you generate it. And you no longer feel lost because even if the full map is unclear, you have your compass, discipline, focus, persistence. Do not despise the season of obscurity, the early hours, the unnoticed efforts. These are the sacred days where foundation is laid. These are the days when you train your spirit for the future you cannot yet see. And when that future arrives, it will not surprise you, it will recognize you, because you became it long before you saw it. So if you feel lost, if the days feel heavy, if the voice in your head whispers that you're wasting your life, pause. Not to retreat, but to realign. Ask not, where am I going, but what am I building today? Let the work be your compass. Let the discipline be your direction. Let the focus on what is in front of you be the gateway to what lies ahead. Work, real work, is not about movement, it is about momentum. It is the great clarifier of confusion, the ultimate antidote to drift. Every powerful life was once a drifting soul that chose to engage, to commit, to build one honest hour at a time. You are not lost, you are uncommitted, and that is something you can change now. Pick up your tools, whatever they may be, set your hands to the task, pour your spirit into the moment, and walk one deliberate step at a time from drifting to driven. Confusion is not the enemy, it is the alarm clock of the soul. It does not arise without reason, it is there to stir you from the slumber of routine, to wake you up from a life lived without direction. When you feel lost, when nothing seems to make sense, when even the smallest decision feels heavy, it is not because you are broken. It is because you have disconnected from purpose, the very engine of a powerful life. Men often wait for clarity before they act. They wait for the fog to lift, for the voice to speak, for the stars to align, and while they wait, the days slip through their fingers like sand. What they fail to see is that clarity does not come before purpose. Purpose comes before clarity, and purpose is never found sitting still. It is found in motion, in commitment, in work. Yes, work, the very thing so many dread, so many avoid, so many see as a burden. Yet, hidden within work is a force strong enough to pull you out of confusion, to anchor your thoughts, to focus your will, and to reawaken your spirit, because work, when it is connected to purpose, becomes transformation. It is not about how grand the task is, it is about how deeply you pour yourself into it. A man who sweeps streets with purpose has more power than a king who rules without it. A woman who builds her days on meaningful effort will outgrow the shadows of doubt that plague those who chase comfort. Purpose has nothing to do with glamour and everything to do with conviction. When you rise each day and ask, not what will entertain you, but what will shape you, you begin the path to freedom. Confusion is not defeated by answers. It is defeated by action. Action toward something greater than yourself. Purpose is not discovered through wishful thinking, but through willing sacrifice, a willingness to give your time, your focus, your sweat, to something that speaks to the highest in you. There is no faster way to quiet the chaos inside than to aim your effort at a worthy target. It may be your craft, your service, your art, your family, your message, your mission, but it must be something. Because a man without a cause will always drift, and a drifting man cannot build anything that lasts. Too many waste their strength in distraction, trying to escape the pain of not knowing who they are. But escape is not the answer. Engagement is, and the first place to engage is with your work. Take the task in front of you, however small, and make it excellent. Take the hours you are given and make them count. Pour focus where you used to pour frustration. Pour effort where you used to pour excuses. That shift, that decision, that sacred act, it awakens purpose, and when purpose awakens, everything changes. Your mind gains direction, your emotions gain order, your energy finds alignment. You stop needing others to validate your worth because your own effort becomes the proof. You stop chasing shortcuts because you know that your path, though demanding, leads somewhere meaningful. You may not yet see the full picture of your future, but you no longer need to, because purpose gives you enough strength to take the next step. And step by step, the fog clears, not all at once, but steadily. You begin to understand that it was never the lack of options that confused you, it was the lack of commitment. And now that you are committed, you no longer need 1,000 answers. You only need the discipline to show up and do what matters. Purpose turns work into worship. It makes the ordinary sacred. It elevates even the smallest task into a stepping stone. When you work with purpose, you don't burn out, you burn brighter. You don't fear the grind, you embrace it. Because you know the difference between tired and fulfilled. You are no longer just surviving your days, you are building something eternal with them. This is not theory, this is law. The man who works with purpose becomes unstoppable not because life is easy for him, but because he has found meaning deeper than comfort. He knows why he wakes, why he works, why he fights, and that why carries him through the storms that crush those who live without it. So if you are confused, if you are tired of drifting, if you are longing for something more, do not seek escape. Seek engagement. Do not seek quick answers. Seek worthy work. Take what you have. Begin where you are. And commit with all you have to something that matters. You will stumble. You will doubt. But you will not stop because purpose, once awakened, will not let you go. It will carry you when your strength fails. It will lift you when the world disappoints. It will give meaning to the moments that once felt meaningless, and one day you will look back not with regret, but with gratitude, for the confusion that once tormented you will have done its job. It pushed you toward purpose, it led you to the power of work, and through that work you found your way home. There is a difference between being lost and being defeated. To be lost is to stand at a crossroads, unsure of which path leads home. To be defeated is to abandon the journey altogether. One is a season, the other is a surrender. And if you are lost today, uncertain of your direction, weary from the weight of your days, disconnected from meaning, know this: you are not defeated. You are merely being called to rise to a higher standard. You are being called to turn your work from a burden into a mission. You were not designed for passivity. You were not created to move through your days with your soul asleep and your energy leaking into routines that drain instead of build. Deep within every person is a drive to contribute to matter, to leave a mark that says, I was here and I made something of my time. But too many confuse struggle with failure and uncertainty with weakness. They confuse the pain of growth with the end of the road. What they forget is that every great transformation begins in discomfort. The seed must split before the root can dig. The metal must burn before it's shaped. So when life feels heavy, when the days stretch without direction, you must not retreat, you must realign. You must begin to see your work not as a chain, but as a chisel, not as something that imprisons you, but as something that shapes you. You may have been taught that work is simply a transaction, time traded for money, effort exchanged for survival. But there is a higher understanding, one that reveals work as a vehicle for greatness. When you shift from obligation to ownership, from routine to responsibility, everything changes. You no longer do the work because you have to, you do it because it means something. It becomes your training ground. It becomes the space where your values are refined, your vision is clarified, and your strength is developed. A man without a mission is a man easily broken, but a man with a mission, even if he walks through fire, walks with power. He does not ask for easy days, he asks for meaningful ones, and that meaning is not found in applause or external validation. It is found in knowing that your work, no matter how simple or small, is done with excellence, integrity, and purpose. The mission is not about ego, it is not about titles or fame, it is about impact. It is about living your life in such a way that your presence builds others, your craft reflects your soul, and your legacy is etched in the way you served, the way you led, the way you endured. And that kind of life, a life on a mission, begins when you stop asking what the world owes you and start asking what you are here to give. Being lost is not a curse, it is a question. And the answer to that question is not found in endless thinking, but in disciplined doing. Start where you are, take the task in front of you and do it with fire. If you're working a job you hate, don't let the job define your spirit, let your spirit transform the job. Show up with excellence. Do more than expected, lead even if no one is watching. Why? Because how you do anything is how you shape everything. There is honor in hard work. There is glory in doing the right thing when no one is clapping. There is greatness in waking up one more time, pushing forward one more inch, even when your heart is tired. That persistence is the mark of a person on a mission, and with time, with effort, with faith, the mission will reveal the meaning behind every moment that once felt pointless. The difference between those who live powerful lives and those who drift through them is not intelligence or luck. It is decision, the decision to take responsibility for your role, the decision to give your all when it's easier to give excuses, the decision to find the lesson in every obstacle and the opportunity in every routine. When you transform work into a mission, you stop running from effort and start running toward it. You see the beauty in repetition. You find strength in structure. You realize that the grind is not the enemy, it is the gatekeeper to mastery. The same job that once bored you becomes the furnace that refines you. The same routine that once drained you becomes the foundation that strengthens you. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens in the choice to show up differently. It happens when you look in the mirror and declare that you are not a victim of your circumstances, you are the architect of your destiny. It happens when you decide to build, even if the tools in your hand are small, even if the world doesn't yet understand what you're building. So no, being lost does not mean you've failed. It means you're being invited to dig deeper. It means life is preparing you for a higher level one where meaning replaces confusion and mission replaces misery. It means the fog you feel now is the birthplace of a new fire. You are not done. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are simply standing at the edge of transformation, and all that's required is that you step forward with courage, with commitment, and with the conviction that your work is no longer a burden, but a calling. Let the world sleep if it must, but you rise. Take the weight that once crushed you and use it to strengthen your spirit. Make your effort a weapon. Make your discipline a light. And make your work a declaration that says, I may have been lost, but I will never be defeated. There will come a time in every life when the path ahead is unclear. The dreams you once carried seem distant, the fire you once felt now dimmed, and the steps you take feel more like wandering than progress. You look out at the world, searching for direction, for a sign, for some guiding light to show you what's next, and all you find is silence. But hear this truth now, and let it settle into your bones. When you don't know where you're going, the wisest, most powerful thing you can do is start with where you're standing. Confusion is not a curse. It is the soil from which clarity can grow, but only if you choose to cultivate it. You cannot steer a ship that isn't moving. You cannot build a future by waiting for it to appear, and you cannot find your life's direction by standing still, waiting for the perfect map. Direction is not discovered, it is developed, and it starts exactly where you are. It is easy to feel paralyzed when the future is a blur, but what most fail to realize is that progress is never made in the future, it is made in the now. The only place you have power is in this moment. Not next week, not next year, not some imagined point when things get better. This moment, right now, is your greatest opportunity. And if you are willing to face it with courage and presence, it will open doors you never knew were there. Too many waste their energy longing for a different starting point, a better job, a clearer purpose, a different past, a stronger mindset. But greatness does not begin with ideal conditions. It begins with honest acceptance. When you stop running from your current reality and start engaging with it, you unlock the secret to change. You stop blaming the world and start building your world one deliberate action at a time. Where you are right now, however messy, however uncertain, holds all the raw material you need to begin. That ordinary job, that struggling relationship, that quiet pain, that hidden passion, it is all part of the assignment. Nothing is wasted when seen through the lens of growth. Every task you take seriously, every small discipline you commit to, every moment you choose purpose over passivity, you are laying bricks for the foundation of a stronger future. The question is not, where should I be? The question is, what can I do with what I have? Because the truth is, the future you desire is built by the person you choose to be today. And the person you choose to be today is not shaped by what you know about the road ahead, but by how you treat the ground beneath your feet. If you are standing in pain, then begin by healing. If you are standing in failure, begin by learning. If you are standing in mediocrity, begin by rising. Wherever you are, do not wait for motivation, manufacture it. Do not wait for passion, practice it. Do not wait for someone to give you permission, give it to yourself. The most successful lives were not crafted by perfect plans. They were forged in the fire of commitment. They were built by men and women who took what they had even when it wasn't much and did something with it. They swept floors like they were building palaces. They studied in silence when no one was watching. They trained their minds while others entertained theirs. And in doing so, they created something the world could not ignore. So if you are lost, if the future feels far away, don't try to leap forward, lean inward. Look at your habits, look at your thoughts, look at the way you show up when no one is keeping score. These are the roots from which a new life will grow. Your next chapter does not begin in some distant land of perfection. It begins here, in the dirt and dust of your current life, and it will be beautiful if you are willing to do the work. Stop asking for the way and start walking. The path reveals itself to those who move. Take the job you have and master it. Take the body you have and strengthen it. Take the mind you have and discipline it. Because once you do, once you pour your full self into the moment at hand, a power awakens inside you, the power of momentum. Momentum does not come to those who wait. It rewards those who act, even if they act imperfectly. The moment you decide to be faithful to the present, the future begins to shift, the confusion begins to fade. And you begin to see that the journey was never about finding the perfect path. It was about becoming the kind of person who could walk any path with purpose. You don't need all the answers today, you need action. You need faith in the process. You need to believe that what you do now, the words you write, the choices you make, the effort you give matters more than what the world says about you. The world rewards the visible, but life is transformed in the invisible moments when no one sees, but you show up anyway. So stand tall in your present, however uncertain it may be. Breathe in the weight of it. Embrace the truth of it, and then begin. Begin with one small act of intention, one small declaration that you are not defeated, one step, then another, because from the moment you start where you are no longer lost. You are in motion, and motion is the beginning of mastery. Where you are is not where you must stay, but it is where you must start. Start with where you're standing, and you will discover you've had the power all along. Most people view work as the enemy. They drag themselves out of bed, force their bodies into motion, and count the hours until it ends. To them, work is a burden, a punishment, a sentence to be endured until freedom comes. But this is the thinking of the defeated. This is the thinking of those who have not yet understood the power of work. Because work is not your enemy, it is your compass. It is the very tool that can guide you out of confusion and into clarity, out of darkness and into direction. Look around you. The people who seem most lost are not the ones who are overwhelmed by effort. They are the ones who are disconnected from meaningful labor. They feel restless because they are not anchored. They feel unsure because they are not engaged. And they wander through life not because they lack dreams, but because they've never learned how to build a foundation through discipline, effort, and consistent motion. Work, when approached with the right spirit, brings order to chaos. It forces your mind to focus. It disciplines your emotions. It teaches you to endure, to sharpen, to grow. It pulls you out of the vague world of wishes and places you firmly in the world of action. Because in action, everything becomes clearer. You stop asking endless questions and start finding real answers not in theory, but in experience. You cannot wait for clarity and then act. You must act and clarity will come. This is the truth too many avoid because it demands responsibility. It demands that you stop blaming your circumstances and start commanding your direction. It demands that you stop fearing effort and start using it to shape your destiny. The path to purpose is rarely revealed in one perfect moment. It is carved out through consistent, determined effort. When you commit yourself to doing what's in front of you, even if it feels small, you begin to develop the character required for greater callings. And this is where work transforms from an obligation to a gift, because the lessons you learn through struggle, repetition, and refinement are the very ones that prepare you for the life you truly desire. A man who works with his whole heart is never truly lost, because while he may not know where the road ends, he knows how to keep moving. He knows how to show up. He knows how to push through resistance and give his best, even when he feels uncertain. And in doing so, he becomes more than just a worker, he becomes a builder of his own future. Stop thinking of work as something that steals your time. Start thinking of it as something that gives you structure. Stop waiting for passion to fall into your lap. Start creating it through sweat, through patience, through perseverance. The greatest passion is not discovered, it is forged. Even the dullest tasks contain within them the opportunity for mastery. The way you answer an email, the way you mop a floor, the way you greet a customer, all of it reflects the level of excellence you bring to your life, and excellence compounds. What begins as a simple act becomes a habit. What becomes a habit becomes a reputation. What becomes a reputation opens doors that laziness could never unlock. Do not despise the day of small beginnings. Do not scoff at the work that feels beneath you. Because in honoring that work, you honor your future self. You build strength where others build excuses. You gain clarity where others gain complaints. You move forward while others wait. If your mind is clouded, if your vision is blurred, if you don't know what your next chapter should be, stop searching for the big answer and start showing up with full presence to the task at hand. Take whatever job, role, or responsibility you have right now and do it like it matters, because it does, not just to your paycheck, but to your purpose. A focused worker is a dangerous force. He cannot be stopped by confusion because he knows the discipline of progress. He cannot be swayed by doubt because he has built resilience through effort, and he cannot be defeated by failure because he has already tasted what it means to rise again. Clarity does not shout, it whispers through consistent action. And when you learn to listen through labor, you begin to uncover who you really are, not just what you want, but what you're made of. Work exposes your weaknesses and strengthens your resolve. It shows you what you're willing to endure and what you're ready to fight for. It becomes the mirror that reflects your potential and the hammer that molds your character. So if you feel lost, do not run, do not escape, do not retreat into distraction or fantasy. Instead, lean into work. Let it guide you, let it teach you, let it ground you, because it is not here to enslave you, it is here to sharpen you. Work with your mind clear and your spirit alert. Take pride in the unseen. Take responsibility for the mundane. Take control of what you can and that control will grow. You will begin to see where you're going, not because the path became easier, but because you became stronger. You will stop fearing the unknown because you've learned how to conquer the known with excellence. And one day, you will look back and realize that it wasn't some grand moment that changed your life. It was the decision to treat your work as a mission, not a chore. It was the choice to meet the day with strength rather than resistance. It was the mindset that saw your labor not as punishment, but as preparation. You are not waiting for the compass. You are holding it, and it is called work. Follow it with honor, and it will lead you home. So now, stand tall where you are. Let your work become your guide, your training ground, your proving field. No matter how small the task, treat it like it matters because it does. Clarity will not come through waiting, but through doing. Work with purpose, act with intention, and let each effort carve out the path ahead. You are not lost, you are in motion, and the motion itself is the miracle, the discipline is the direction, the excellence is the answer. Work is not the enemy, it's the compass. Follow it and you will find yourself.